Okay, as she said, my name is Nicole Hanni. I'm with Dufresne Spencer Group, Ashley HomeStore. The confusing part from what she said you're probably going to say is only 31 DMAs, only 100 stores. So I just got really loud. So I wanted to tell you first a little bit about why that might be confusing. So Ashley HomeStore is across the U.S., but we are the largest licensee of Ashley HomeStore. So Dufresne Spencer Group actually licensed the brand, and we are in these DMAs, this footprint. We have over 100 stores, as she said, but it creates a lot of unique challenges because we have corporate, we have national, they do national advertising, and then we are on the local level. So I really wanted to dive into what that looks like for us in buying OTT locally. To tell you a little bit about the team, we're an in-house marketing team. There are 28 of us. We have multiple pillars. We have a creative team that falls under our brand team. We have email, we have digital, and then I head the traditional team. As many of you have stated, it's very confusing on does OTT fall under digital or traditional. In our world, it falls in the traditional world. So we buy OTT like we buy television. I'll get a little bit more into those details as I go. We also have a production company, so that allows us to move quickly as well. We, like I said, pretty much do everything in-house. On the traditional media team, there are 7 of us, so we all plan and buy our local markets. Some challenges we face, national versus local. So Ashley Corporate not only advertises nationally, they also have local markets, so that gives us some learnings. We have a partnership with them, obviously, especially being the largest licensee. Our partnership with them goes deeper than some other licensees might have the advantage of. Their primary percentage of their national buy is cable. So I came on board last January. We've tripled in size since I came. When I came, we were 19 DMAs, and now we're 31. And dollar-wise, we've tripled in size. So we bought a lot of cable. We've pulled primarily out of that. We're letting national really tell that story. And I know I'm spending a lot of time on this slide, but I want to give you guys the backstory so you understand as I dive in more. We pulled out of that because corporate can compete with us a lot. They will run a different promotion than us, for example. So it became a challenge of if I'm on HGTV and they're on HGTV and you see a competing promotion, the consumer's very confused. So what was the best way to kind of attack that to cause the least confusion for our guest? So we primarily are in linear broadcast and then OTT, taking that cable element kind of out of the mix in most of our markets. But again, one size does not fit all, so that is not across the board. We don't own our website. Huge challenge. I know this isn't a digital conference, and nor am I a digital person, but that creates a huge obstacle for us that we don't own our website. So that's a unique challenge. Corporate owns the website. So our whole metric is driving guests to the store. It's all about foot traffic and how we can measure that. I'm not going to go through any of the stats. Everybody in this room knows them. We've said them over and over throughout the conference, but obviously we know streaming is growing. We know we need a plan to reach those consumers. You know, what does that look like? So we're really using linear and OTT as complementary. Don't ask me the percentage of what I put into OTT versus linear because it's irrelevant to me. It's all about what the market calls for. So being in so many different DMAs, it's really market specific, which I'll get more into those details. But I can't tell you, is it 20/80, is it 10%, 90%? I don't know those details because it's literally market by market. It's obviously not enough to include linear anymore. However, everyone that says TV is dying, I will go to bat with you on that. Strategy, really the strategy is to extend our reach of television. So that's really why we buy it in the traditional space, because the whole strategy behind it is the extension of TV. So we are feeding the top of the funnel with our TV linear, obviously, and our OTT, and then we're using other channels to talk to our consumers throughout the funnel. So limitations on local OTT, and keep in mind we buy it on the DMA level, so that already, you know, creates a less scalable. So obviously it's growing rapidly, but it's still in limited homes. Applying digital tactics doesn't always scale, especially for us buying already on a geographical DMA level. Transparency. I mean, we've talked a lot about the need to standardize here. What does that look like? Like, you're very dependent on your vendor, what they provide you, what you require them to provide you. There's no set, as we've said, standards across the board. And there's multiple ways to acquire inventory. So, as we've said, that's confusing and cumbersome. So national versus local, and I'm not going to talk at all about national because my world is local, but the limitation really becomes scalability for us. Cable and broadcast are difficult to scale on a local level. Direct ad servers obviously offer the most scale. Reserved inventory helps with delivery. Programmatic does not scale locally for us. And too many layers of targeting will sharply reduce our inventory scale. So again, one reason why we're buying it from a broad reach perspective, when we've tried to apply too many layers, it's just not scalable. So achieving local scale, and I'm pretty much going to skip through this. I mean, it's what works for you, right? So it's dependent on your advertiser, your brand, your goals, your communication, what you want to do. Obviously, everyone knows video comparison. I'll skip that. A lot of people stole my slides, I think. I'm just saying. So local, we buy TV and GRPs. We are not buying on cost per thousand yet, so that creates a unique challenge in how do we compare OTT to our linear buy. And again, we started out comparing it a lot more than we are now. Originally, when we started purchasing OTT, we literally bought it in our TV buy. So it was very important that we could apply a cost per point to that. So we work with a vendor that has a formula that we trust that does that for us. So it was one of the reasons why we use the vendor is we literally need to see it as a cost per point. As traditional media buyers, it meant nothing to us if we couldn't compare it to our linear TV buys. So that was a unique challenge that we solved, and now we've gone a step further to pull out our OTT to where we do not buy it within our television buy, but we can still compare the cost per point across the two channels. You guys know this, I've skipped that. So not every market is created equal, right? So my last slide kind of showed that, and the scale within the market and the penetration and all the details that go into that. But then how do we measure it? Because hey, it's still a digital product, right? So we still have the advantage of being able to measure it when we can't measure our linear TV buy. So we have not implemented this yet. This is the next step of our OTT, but really store attribution. So again, it's all about the foot traffic in our stores. That's our only metric when it comes to marketing. We rely on the sales team to execute the sale once the person is in there, but it is our responsibility to get the guest in the door because you can't sell someone if you don't have them in the store, right? So we're working with our vendor now to do that, to implement this as the next stage. So what that really looks like is, you know, the impression is served, it's then tagged, then tracked. Do they come into our store? There were a couple notes I made from Mall of America's presentation on the things that they look for, time spent, things like that that I want to also delve into to see if that's possible for us, because right now this is our next step. What's the next step after that? So we're always looking at, okay, we're here. Where can we go now to provide even more clarity into how the space works for us? I won't go into these. I mean, you guys are all highly intelligent people. You already know all these questions. These were a few things that kind of stumped us in the beginning, though, because, again, traditional buyer, right? Digital didn't want OTT. Hey, we'll take it. Sure. So it was changing our mindset, but still being able to look at linear and OTT in the same way. That's not confusing at all, right? But I think we've done a great job of it, the team internally. We've really taken the bull by the horns, and for us as traditional people, it's been fun, to kind of delve into this digital world that we don't often get to play in. So that's all. Thank you.
So does anyone have any questions for Nicole?
Donna from Hunter Douglas. Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
Do you guys have an e-commerce? Like, can you buy online as well? And if so, do you count site traffic or any other online website metrics as part of your KPIs?
So Ashley Corporate does, but again, they own the website, so we don't have visibility into that.
And
So
they won't share? They don't?
there are certain things we can see, and there are certain things we can't. And it really comes down to, and I'm kind of speaking for the digital team right now, so they may be like, oh my God, you totally botched that. But it comes down to what they're willing to share and the amount of time spent to provide the details and what dashboards exist and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, it's not about e-commerce for DSG because that doesn't benefit us. It's all about getting people into the store. So we don't focus on the e-commerce. That would be more from a corporate standpoint. Not that we don't do digital advertising, but we let them drive that aspect of it.
You talked about using linear and OTT for top of the funnel.
Yes.
What do you then rely on as it goes further down the funnel?
So we have a very robust media mix, obviously. We have all the traditional elements, and then we also dive into digital. So that gets a little out of my world. But we get into YouTube, and we get into search, and we get into social, and all of those elements. I doubt there's a channel you could tell me that we don't use on some level. And we've actually recently drawn out, because it became a challenge having a team so large, is what does that look like? Because not everyone thinks in a media mindset, right? So we've literally taken the funnel and drawn out where our mediums and our channels fall within the funnel. So we can make sure that we're always thinking about, okay, if we remove this or if we take money from this, where does it then go so we don't create a gap in the funnel or we don't sway the bottom of the funnel too much beyond the top of the funnel and things of that nature. So visually, it's been great, especially for team members like our brand team that don't necessarily think in terms of channels and mediums as to what plays where. So they keep that in mind as they're doing creative, things of that nature.
And also, you're being hyper local, and it seems like you're a little bit at odds sometimes with national.
Yes.
How do you? I mean, obviously, it's something you have to continue to work on. But do you then? Is social more reliant for you, because of that, or does that not even come into play?
No, it totally does. So many things come into play when we're, especially when they have a competing message. Because even if we're both running President's Day, for example, we could be running different offers. They could have up to 40% off. We could have up to 30. I'm totally making these up. So that gets hard. Like, how do you make sure you're not completely confusing the guest when they come in the store? And that's one reason why we decided to pull our dollars out of cable, because we were finding that on the local level, all the networks national was so heavily on were the same networks that made sense for us from a local level, and there was just too much opportunity for that to cross over. So it becomes very important, the digital channels, to make sure we can communicate that, at the bottom of the funnel So they actually know what they're walking into when they walk into the store.
Great. Well, again, Nicole, thank you.
Thanks.
We good?